talked a lot about Hinkley Point C and the effect it's had on the southwest. A new report out today shows that the UK's civil nuclear sector in this area contributed £1.6 billion to the UK economy last year. In total, across the UK, the sector contributed £6.4 billion. That's an awful lot of money. Hinkley Point C, as well as decommissioning sites, directly employs more than 7,000 people, supports more than 17,000 jobs across the region. To tell us about the study and what it's revealed, I spoke earlier to Tom Greatrex, the CEO of the Nuclear Industry Association.
We thought it was very important to have a real authoritative, evidence-based picture for the level of economic value that the nuclear industry brings to the United Kingdom. And it's something, this is the first one we've done, but we intend to do it each year so that we can track that and so we can see the impact of projects that are happening across the whole of the United Kingdom, and particularly in the southwest of England, having economically, locally, and the contribution we're making. So I think it's important that, as well as the energy that's provided by nuclear electricity, more than 1/5 of the electricity we produce in the UK, we've also got a proper handle on how much economic activity is derived from the process of bringing that electricity into people's homes and businesses.
Now, 1.6 billion sounds positive. Is that a fair comment? Where does that sit in what the industry might be capable of, for example?
Well, 1.6 billion in 2016 is a combination of the work happening at Hinkley C in terms of new build, the work that's happening during the course of the calendar year 2016, but also all of the decommissioning work, the existing generation that's at other Hinkley power stations and at Albury and at the Winfrith site, and also the associated supply chain, which is based in the southwest of England. So that's a very healthy snapshot of where things are with the current activity. Obviously, if there was more happening, so in years to come, when potentially there may be another reactor being built at Albury, that would also obviously have an additional income. But you'll see that figure will probably increase over the course of the next few years as Hinkley's under construction, particularly when we get to the peak construction in the next few years, when there will be a significant amount of money being spent and a significant amount of jobs on that site and associated with that site, and a significant number of contracts that are awarded to the supply chain in the southwest of England, having a beneficial local economic impact.
So if you do these studies annually and you have all this information and all these figures, what do you do with this?
Well, I think it helps to demonstrate really the value of the industry. We know the value of the industry in terms of the amount of electricity it provides, and we know that means the amount produced by the Hinkley power station, the operating power station. Hinkley is the equivalent of taking more than 1 million cars off the road each year in terms of the carbon emissions saved than if we were producing that electricity by gas, for example. So we know that because that's all recorded by government statistics, the amount of electricity that's produced, and we know what the carbon emissions saved are. What we don't know, unless we do these types of studies, is the wider economic impact that comes with that. And that's not the primary reason for choosing how you generate electricity, but it is important to understand the value that comes from it and why it is that as a country, and we're coming out of the European Union, but we're in the process of wanting to set an industrial strategy for the future, we understand the value that can come from some of those industries where we are world leaders, and nuclear energy is one of those.
And people, though, still worried about nuclear, despite this big contribution, you can understand the concerns, can't you?
There are concerns which people have, which are based largely on misconceptions about the way in which the energy is produced or the way in which the process happens at power stations. All I'd say to those people is take the opportunity to go to any of the visitor centres at the existing power stations, look into the reality of the situation. But we know that we have had for more than 60 years a way of producing electricity which is completely carbon free, which is available for the grid at all times of the day and night. It doesn't matter whether it's windy or sunny or not, we can produce that electricity that keeps the lights on for businesses, homes and public services, and does that in a way which is very, very safe and has been proved to be very safe in the United Kingdom. The safety culture in the UK nuclear industry is absolutely critical and important. We have a very strong independent regulator. So the concerns that people have, I think, are all addressed. We've got to make sure that we're communicating that to people so that people can have the confidence. But you'll know from the position in the communities around where there are nuclear power stations that the communities there have very good response to those power stations being there, not just because of the jobs they provide, but because they know the reality of living near them, as opposed to some of the stories that you hear about, usually coming from people who have got an ideological opposition to any of our power coming from the low carbon source that nuclear energy is.
Tom Greatrex, the CEO of the Nuclear Industry Association, talking to me earlier about that new report that shows that the UK's civil nuclear sector in the southwest contributed to £1.6 billion to the UK economy last year. It's 5:30.